More troubles for Tesla, and wait till you see what's happening at the LA Auto Show. Strap yourselves in, it's time for Motor Money. Hi, I'm Motley Fool analyst Rex Moore. Welcome to another thrilling edition of Motor Money. My co-pilot on this road trip is, as always, Motley Fool senior auto analyst John Rosevear, live and in color from his basement or his attic or somewhere in Massachusetts. John, what do you say? You ready this week?
Always ready, Rex. Always ready. All
right, let's get to it then. Our first segment of the show, headlines from around the world of the autos. Our first headline, Tesla's stock is now down almost 40% since the end of September after 3 separate incidents of fires in a Tesla Model S sedan led U.S. regulators to open an investigation. And Tesla CEO Elon Musk moved this week to try to head off an expensive recall. And it started, John, with this interesting dispatch here, which we just saw from Musk, which, among other things, said an over-the-air update to the air suspension will result in greater ground clearance at highway speeds.
Yeah, this is a software fix that they can broadcast out to all the Model S's. This is a great thing.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, what it does is apparently the Model S has software that lowers the car a little bit. Electronic suspension is a wonderful thing. At highway speeds, it sort of improves the aerodynamics a little bit. What this software fix does is it's going to lower itself a little less, so it's going to be a little higher off the ground. So a couple of these fires involve hitting debris in the roadway that sort of tore into the underneath of the car up in front and tore into, apparently, the battery pack in the forward compartment. It's not exactly clear what happened, at least not to me. But the idea here, Tesla hopes, first of all, the feds will buy into this fix. Having presented as kind of a done deal. They also hope that the feds will think this is sufficient and won't go on to order a greater recall.
Now, in the missive that he sent out, he points out that doing the science, the media coverage of these Model S fires versus gasoline fires, really disproportionate by several orders of magnitude. He says despite the Model S being far safer than these gasoline cars, and I think you and I both agree with him there.
Yeah, he does have statistics on his side. I mean, 10 more go up in flames, and he's got some answering to do. But of course, it gets attention because it's new technology. It's spectacular. The Tesla is very visible, particularly among gadget geeks and so forth. And it's an exciting product, and it's dramatic when somebody gets this video of the car going up in flames anyway. And when it's a special car, it's that much more so. And so these have gotten a lot of attention. And, I think the precedent was the fire that happened in the Chevy Volt, the one that had been crash tested by the government and then sort of put in the government junkyard, and it combusted several days or weeks later. So there is this association with the public mind of, electric car batteries can catch on fire. And to just have 3 of these in a month was just, just an incredible string of tough luck for them, certainly in terms of what has happened to the stock over since the end of September, the last 6 weeks or so.
Now, among the 3 things he mentioned was one, they were going to raise the clearance with the software update. Also, he says they requested that the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration conduct a full investigation into this. There is some skepticism floating around out there that a car maker would actually do this. And then he also mentioned one other thing, and that was amending the warranty policy.
Yeah, he said he was going to expand Tesla's warranty coverage to cover pretty much any kind of fire, even if the owner is negligent. I mean, basically, as long as you're not going out to your garage, dumping gasoline on your car and igniting it to collect the insurance, if your Model S catches on fire, they'll cover it. Which is, the kind of dramatic gesture that we expect from Tesla, but it's certainly a dramatic gesture. I think they must have reasoned that the cost here is going to be less than the publicity hit they'll take if they can't sort of quash this issue as a snowballing thing, as a snowballing news story that can do them damage.
And a quick note about the stock, it's down so much. For me personally, I am interested in the stock as it falls now down to these levels, and I'm not sure really what your overall take on this is.
My take on Tesla as an investment is that I'm enjoying sitting on the sidelines with a big bowl of popcorn and watching this. I don't know yet. I don't know. There are people who say Tesla isn't a buy until it's 40. There are people who say it's a screaming buy at 120. I think it depends on your financial model and your expectations. I would probably, personally, I got burned one too many times in the late 1990s on highgrowth.com stocks. So I'd probably lean more toward the 40 than the 120 before I personally invested. Is that the best move here? I don't know. The thing is, I mean, this is all built on speculation. It's all built on what could happen. And it's not so much a hard analysis. It's what do you believe? And so, I mean, that's what will drive people's decisions to buy, or what should. What do you believe? What do you think is realistic?
And let's move along now to our next headline. We'll head out to the LA Auto Show, and some really great stuff happening out there, including the debut of the new Chevy Colorado. John, tell us about this vehicle.
Well, this is a mid-size pickup. It replaces the old Chevy Colorado. That went out of production about a year ago, in 2012. And now mid-size pickups are, a segment that Detroit had pretty much abandoned. There used to be the Ford Ranger. There used to be the Dodge Dakota. Those are gone. Ford still builds the Ranger, but they build it and sell it overseas. They don't sell it in the U.S. The one that's left standing, really, there's a Nissan that sells a few thousand a month, but the one that's left standing is the Toyota Tacoma. That's the most prominent one. Toyota sells between 10 and 15,000 a month. That's a far cry from the 60,000 or so full-size pickups that somebody like GM or Ford will sell in a good month. But the thinking is that maybe a Detroit entry could do a lot better here. Whether it takes some people who want to pick up, want a Chevy pickup, but maybe don't want the full size one, then want to park it, then want to put it in the garage, then want to fill it with gas, whatever. But the Colorado is really a serious effort here. It's a good looking truck. It's built American truck style. It's body on frame. It's rear wheel drive with available 4-wheel drive in all trim levels. Extended cab, crew cab, couple different bed sizes, and some nice high-tech features like the lane drift sensors and some other things like the electronics that we see on luxury cars now. They're offering some of this. And that follows the pattern we saw with the new Silverado. They offer lots of appealing options packages, hoping that people will option them up and increase the profits per sale. Now, I don't think they're going to sell 60,000 a month like they do with the Silverado or the Sierra, and we won't know for sure until they announce pricing and until we get to drive one. But from what I've seen so far, this looks like a winner for GM. It's a 2015 model, and we understand that it will arrive at dealers next fall.
And tell me, for those who don't live and breathe this stuff, how is it different from the Silverado?
It's one size down.
Okay.
It's a little shorter. It's a little narrower. The engine choices
and
are
a little
V6s.
cheaper, I would guess.
And presumably a little cheaper. They haven't announced the price. The thinking is it will start right around 20,000, though obviously you'll be able to equip it way up from there. It's one size down. It's
okay.
one size down.
Now, also out there in LA, something new, a concept car from Ford, the Ford Edge concept. What is this all about?
Well, concept car is one of those terms that has a couple different meanings. Officially, when an automaker shows a concept car, they're saying this is just an idea. We're showing some technology. We're showing some styling themes. We don't have plans to produce this. Now, Ford does this thing where they show a concept car, but what they're really saying is this is a close to final draft of a car we're going to build a couple of years from now. Officially, Ford has disclosed no plans to produce the Edge concept that they're showing, but it's very clearly a very close preview of what is going to be the 2016 Ford Edge that we'll see coming onto the market probably in a year and a half or so, sometime in 2015, spring of 2015 maybe. And this is clearly a production intent concept, as they say. This is something they're going to build. It might change the trim here and there. You might get different wheels, but this is pretty much it. And it's evolutionary. It's not revolutionary. If you step back and squint, it looks like a Ford Edge. I mean, it's a familiar shape. You look in the interior, if you've seen recent Fords, this looks like that. There's the soft touch materials on the dash, brush metal trim, some cool LED lighting effects. You've been in a Fusion or a Focus or an Escape, a recent new Ford product. This is really going to look very familiar to you. Now, the big difference between the current Edge, the one you can buy today, and this new one that is being shown as a concept is that this is being designed as a global product. The current Edge is built in just one factory in Ontario. Officially, it's sold in Europe, and officially it's sold in China, but those are exported from Canada, and the sales numbers are really very small. The next one has much bigger ambitions. Ford officials talked on Wednesday about how the market for SUVs is expected to boom over the next several years, really around the world, not just in China, which we've talked about a lot, but in Europe and South America too. And the clear, very heavy hint is that they have big global plans for the next generation Edge, and this is the vehicle that they're gonna ride here.
And we're not done in LA yet. One more, the Porsche Macan, I believe it is pronounced, and well, the picture looks pretty good anyway.
Yeah, the Macan is, this one's actually expected to be on sale shortly. You know, the build-in price thing is already live on Porsche.com if you go look. Now, this is a compact luxury SUV. It starts at just under $50,000. And if it sounds strange for Porsche, which is a legendary sports car maker, to be building an SUV, consider this. Porsche is now completely owned by the Volkswagen Group. And so far this year, Porsche has accounted for just 1.6% of the VW Group's global sales in terms of numbers of vehicles sold, but 22% of the profits in the first half of the year. Porsches are very profitable. This is a very profitable business for VW. And about half of Porsche's global sales nowadays are the big Cayenne SUV, which we've all seen. It's a great big truck. These can be optioned up way over $100,000. They are very popular by Porsche standards. Something like 53% of their global sales last month were the Cayenne. This is an exceptionally important vehicle for them. And now what the Macan does is come in and gives them, now they have an SUV lineup. They have a smaller and more affordable SUV. It's on the same theme. It's a stylish luxury SUV with the performance and handling that you'd expect with the Porsche name. It comes in two basic levels. There's the Macan S, that's the entry level. That starts at $49,900, I believe. It's 340 horsepower twin turbo V6, all-wheel drive system, sophisticated active suspension, and some other stuff. And then the turbo comes in, that ups the power to 400 horsepower. There's some more sophisticated suspension and other features. The turbo starts as a little over $70,000. But of course, with Porsche, anybody who knows anything about Porsche, you know options are where the action is. I was playing with Porsche's online build-in price thing. I didn't have any trouble getting the Macan Turbo up over $100,000. These things are going to be expensive. I suspect a lot of them will go out the door well-equipped. Porsche has a way of making things, you know, like heated seats that you'd expect at a higher trim level in a luxury vehicle. Yeah, that's an option. Now, everybody's going to check that box, but, you know, that's another $500-600 on it. You know, multiply by, 15 or 20 of these things. There's a lot of profit in there for the VW Group, especially when you consider that if the Cayenne is half of their sales, and this is the Cayenne's little brother with a more accessible price, this is going to be Porsche's bestseller real fast.
Is this in the same category as the Ford's Lincoln MKC we talked about last week?
Yes size? And no. I don't. Yeah, more or less, it's about the same size. Yeah, about the size of the MKC. MKC rather. Little higher up the food chain, I suspect.
Yeah, I would imagine.
You know, I mean, $49,900 sounds like an appealing entry price for a Porsche SUV. But I think if you go down to your local Porsche dealer and see the ones they have on the lot, the prices are going to be considerably higher because they're going to order them all up. And that's, you know, a notch up from, I think, where the average transaction prices on the Lincolns are going to come out. But yeah, that same neighborhood in terms of size and sort of overall configuration.
All right, final headline now, and one that we're personally excited about. John, are you ready for the brand new 50th anniversary edition of the Ford Mustang? Because we have been invited to New York when they unveil that, and we'll be out there, I believe it's December 5th.
Yeah, we were saying a few weeks ago that Ford wouldn't even acknowledge that there was going to be a next generation Mustang. They didn't just neglect to show it to their dealers. They told their dealers, we don't even know what you're talking about, asking us about the Mustang. Well, they finally told us something about the Mustang, and they told us that Rex and I are invited to come to New York and see it on December 5th. So we are very excited about that. They're going to reveal it in several simultaneous events around the world. There's one in New York, one in Dearborn, there's one in Shanghai, and I think there's one in Europe somewhere. We'll be at the one in New York. We'll have all the details for you. But that points out one thing we do know about the all-new Mustang for sure. It's the same thing we talked about with the Edge concept. This is a global car. It's not just a rowdy American product anymore. It'll still have that personality, I'm sure. It'll still be rear-wheel drive. You'll still be able to get it with the roaring V8 engine, the manual transmission, and the bright colors and the racing stripes. It'll still be a Mustang, but we expect the handling to be a lot more fine-tuned. The interior may go up a notch, especially at the higher trim levels, in terms of fit and finish, and the grades of leather and things like that. And some of the other engine choices besides the rowdy V8 are going to be probably more fuel efficient. The EcoBoosts are going to come in here. Ford is planning on selling the Mustang in Europe for sure. They go to China as well. It's going to be a world car. It's going to be pitched at a lot of different audiences. And it'll be interesting to see how they balance that imperative to make it a world car with the need to keep the Mustang true believers here at home. So we'll be looking for that.
Yep, I've been to the Tahoe Suburban unveiling. We were at the Cadillac Escalade unveiling, but this one is really one I want to jump in and just drive around the streets of Manhattan.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to let us liberate one, but we will surely make the attempt.
Yeah, be sure to tune in, folks, the week of December 5th, and we will definitely bring you all the details on that. And that is all for headlines. Time now to shift gears. And it's time for that segment of the show where John and I go under the hood for a deeper look at some of the big stories in the auto world. Today we are taking a deeper dive into that mysterious world of fuel cells. I mean, it's probably not mysterious for a lot of people, but as far as battery technology is concerned, this one doesn't get a lot of play, but it's about to, because, John, we've got a lot to talk about here. Several brands are planning on releasing fuel cell models in the coming years.
Yeah, we talked about the Los Angeles show a little bit. Also going on this week, opening this week, is the Tokyo show.
Yes.
And hydrogen cars were big news at both shows. Toyota and Honda both showed vehicles in Tokyo, hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, and Hyundai showed one out in California. Toyota's is called the FCV Concept. It's a sleek-looking sedan. Something very close to it is expected to go on sale around 2015. They're being a little coy about the exact timing. They don't want to promise it before they can get it out. But this FCV Concept that we're seeing here. They showed an earlier one a couple years ago that was more of a concept-y kind of concept car. Remember what we were saying earlier? This one's more production intent. This one's close, we think, to what they're actually going to build. Honda's, on the other hand, is more of a flight of fancy. It's called the FCEV Concept. It kind of looks like it wants to be a shuttlecraft.
Yeah, it does.
Go up to a starship or something. But the thing is, the system that powers this one isn't a flight of fancy at all. It's a new fuel cell system from Honda. They say it's the smallest system yet put in a car. The whole thing fits under the hood in a conventional engine compartment. And they say that with a full tank of hydrogen, a car built with this system should get over 300 miles of range, and you'll be able to refuel that tank in just a few minutes. You won't be charging up like with an electric car. And that is also, Honda says, coming 2015-ish. I don't think it'll look anything like this. I think it'll look a lot more like a familiar Honda that we're used to seeing. But technologically, this is the system something close to what they plan to build. Now, compared to those two, Hyundai's Tucson fuel cell is a whole different deal. This is a Tucson. It's Hyundai's compact SUV. They've fitted it with an electric motor and a hydrogen fuel cell. And this one you'll actually be able to get your hands on pretty soon, at least if you live in Southern California. It's coming to a few U.S. dealers. 4 dealers in Southern California will be able to lease it to you next spring. It'll be lease only. $29.99 down, $4.99 a month for 3 years. And that price includes free unlimited hydrogen refueling. Free gas.
I was amazed when I read that.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the refueling stations they have are at the Hyundai dealers. So, they want you to swing by and fill it up, right?
Yeah.
Now, they say, Hyundai is saying they'll expand availability of this. They're serious about this as a mass-produced option, and they'll build to meet demand. And they say they'll expand availability around the United States as more refueling stations come online, but they haven't given us any specifics on those plans yet.
Now, was there another fuel cell car we were talking about for this segment?
There are a lot of fuel cell cars on the way. We haven't seen anything else new this past week. But, Honda several months ago announced a joint development agreement with General Motors on fuel cell. GM has been playing with fuel cells since the 60s. Ford is working with a couple of other automakers. So these things really are on the way. They are coming to market. Of course, there are skeptics. We've talked about our friend Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who, shall we say, thinks these things are unworkable.
That's a kind way to put it.
Yeah, he was joined this week by Carlos Ghosn. That is Nissan CEO. He is a heavy hitter. He's also skeptical. I mean, his question is basically, okay, these cars are going to roll out in the United States in 2015. Where are you going to get gas, guys? Who's building the infrastructure? Where are the hydrogen refueling stations? And of course, as we've said with Elon Musk, when Musk talks about this, he is, as we say in the investment business, talking his book. He has invested heavily in battery technology. He also owns a solar power company. He clearly has a model for how this is all going to play out, or how he hopes this is all going to play out. And fuel cells aren't it. So he's, by saying, oh, that's not going to work. Well, he's talking his book, as we say. Nissan has also bet big on battery electric. But it's interesting to hear Ghosn, whose book is a little more diversified here, also saying the same thing. But ultimately, I think it's going to come down to consumers that are going to get their say. These things are coming to market, and we'll see if people want to buy them.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, as a consumer, I love to see the competing technologies here because it can only mean somewhat lower prices anyway as we get deeper into this. Yeah,
and we've talked before about how the automakers are kind of throwing a lot of different ideas out there, everything from plug-in hybrids to conventional gas engines that are made much more efficient with advanced turbocharging and so forth, to fuel cells, to battery electrics, to, who knows, there may be a couple other things here we haven't thought about yet. But, they're going to throw them out and see what consumers are willing to support, what the market is willing to support, to some extent what governments are willing to support. And we'll see how it plays out. It's going to be a very interesting time.
And as we move on to our fun and final segment, we'll actually stick with the topic here as we play a new game, What Are the Odds? And on this one, we simply give our guess as to the probabilities that these things will happen. The first one, as we just saw, several car makers seem poised to have fuel cell vehicles on the market in 2 or 3 years. Elon Musk, meanwhile, says fuel cells are BS. So, John, you go first. Chances Elon Musk admits he was wrong about fuel cells in the next 5 years.
I'm going to say 2%. Now, I think Musk would own it if it really turned out to be wrong. I think he's a big enough guy to do that. But 5 years is 2018. And even if fuel cells eventually catch on as the dominant automotive technology, they aren't going to do it by 2018. We're going to be where electric cars were a few years ago, best case with fuel cells. And he will still be able to say, pshaw, I'm selling 100,000 Teslas a year or whatever he's doing by then.
I'm going to go, I actually came in at 1% on this, and it's more due to Elon Musk and his personality than the actual technology, because I'm reading this, he's saying they're really baloney, they're nothing but marketing, but I see it as if we actually are going to have some cars hit the market in a couple of years, he has to be wrong, but he's not going to admit it.
Well, he can come out and say, well, yeah, Toyota's selling this fuel cell car for $40,000, but they must be losing 50 grand on each one or whatever, and Toyota won't tell you otherwise. So he will still have a line at that point. So we'll see.
Next one, tension as Nissan promises more than one by 2020. General Motors, an official tells the House panel, we won't see any for the foreseeable future. Odds that there will be a self-driving vehicle on the market by 2020. And my answer is I am actually going to go quite high here, 91%, because 7 years is quite a long ways off. And the technology is here as we speak, and really, when we're talking about technology, 7 years is an incredibly long time. But I'm only going 91% instead of 100% because our government, well, they just can't get anything done. If things are going to get bogged down, it's going to be because they're delaying this because they're mad at Hillary Care or something. I don't know what's going to be happening as we approach 2020, but if anyone's going to mess it up, it'll be regulatory bodies and not the actual car makers. The technology is here.
I agree with you on both counts. My guess is a little lower. I said 60%. But you are absolutely correct that the big obstacle here is legal. We see it. Mercedes, Toyota, Ford, GM, all sorts of companies. Tesla's got some stuff coming. Bits and pieces of what will be the self-driving systems of the future are already on the market. When we talk about, you know, this lane drift warning system that sees where you are on the highway, and if you drift out of your lane, it alerts you. This is a camera system. You know, there may be radar and so forth attached with it. There's a sophisticated processor, but this is so mass market now that GM's throwing it in as an option on the new Colorado. You know, it's just, you know, everybody can have this. And there's more and more going that way. It's the radar sensors, it's the camera, it's the GPS, it's the software that puts this all together. This is all coming. I mean, it needs to be refined and battle tested and so forth.
Well, don't forget Google. I mean, they've driven several 100,000 miles with no incident.
Sure, but the rules are going to be the obstacles. You may see a situation in 2020 where they're legal in 10 states. You know, where you know, the high tech states, California does it, Massachusetts does it, but maybe, you know, maybe the rural states are okay with it, but then, you know, places with a lot of traffic congestion, you know, maybe Michigan won't do it. You know,
yeah, really. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's going to be the battle. And unless the feds come in and declare some standards, it may go state by state at least for a while.
And finally, several automakers, as we said, planning to bring hydrogen fuel cell cars to the market by 2015. But right now, there are only 10 public hydrogen stations in the U.S. 9 of them are in California. So this is the big question. Odds that there will be at least one station in every state by 2015?
I'm going to say 20%. I think the odds are low, but it's possible. It's possible that someone like Hyundai could push to build a public network. You may see a situation where, you know, if Hyundai really gets serious about their new fuel cell thing, where every Hyundai dealer has a thing. Are those public stations? Well, no. You gotta drive a Hyundai. But I think it's more likely that they're going to be few and far between until there are enough cars to support them. It's like electric charging stations. Electric charging stations are still few and far between. In some areas, you see them. In San Francisco, you see them. In Cambridge, Massachusetts, you see them. And you see Nissan Leafs and Teslas parked at these things charging up during the day. They're in parking garages. But there aren't very many of them. You know, you can't be driving down the highway in Montana and pull over and get, you know, however many kilowatts of electricity in your car. It's just not there yet. I think the hydrogen thing is going to be the same thing, unless there's some big breakthrough where somebody comes with a system that can be retrofitted with a gas station. That, you know, you plug the water line and the electricity into it, and boom, it makes hydrogen for you with some sort of reverse fuel cell process. I don't know, but I think the odds are low but not zero. So I'm going to say 20%.
Yeah, I came in lower than you because my thinking, while 2020 in 7 years is a long ways off for our self-driving thing, 2015 is really close, and to get one out in every state, and you didn't specify if Alaska and Hawaii were part of this, but even so, I'm coming in at 10%.
Well, what I was thinking here was, you know, what we've seen with Tesla and the superchargers. They're building a charger network around the U.S. Is that going to be in every state?
The automaker is, yeah.
Yeah. If you saw somebody, and it could be Hyundai, and it could be somebody else, they're really serious about fuel cells, they could be putting these stations out there. You could see that. So I'm allowing for some chance there, but I don't think it's real likely not by 2015.
Thank you very much, John. That is it, folks. We are out of gas, so this ride's over. For John Rosevear, I'm Rex Moore. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.